on Excel GMetrix Multi-Project 3. We're currently on the first project called Sports. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and create a stacked area chart from the January through December data for football, baseball, and basketball. So we'll go ahead and we'll select our headers up at the top, and we'll drag all the way to December. Make sure that you do not select that totals row. We're going to go to the Insert tab here at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and click Recommended Charts, so I can click All Charts. And then over here to the left, it tells me, or gives me the different categories. So it tells us that we want the area chart, so we'll go ahead and do that. And it's not just the area chart, but the stacked area chart. So as I hover over here, I see that this is my stacked, and then I can just double click. It asks us to go ahead and move this chart over to the right of the table. And over here in the colors, it's asking us to change it to the monochromatic palette 4. Now, on my monochromatic group, if you look, it does not display those colors. And so this actually happened to me on a certification test, and they told me it was how the reason for the error was because of how Microsoft was installed on my computer. But I will tell you that what you want to do is select the fourth option down here. If you have this problem, select the fourth option. It will mark it correct, but you definitely want to look for what they tell you if not. Click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and add the chart title New Sports to the pie chart on the registration revenue worksheet. So we're still here on this worksheet, but what you don't see is this pie chart down here. So you want to be careful that you don't apply the chart title to the wrong chart. So up here at the top is our chart title. We're going to go ahead and change it to New Sports, and I'm capitalizing the N and the S. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to move this pie chart from the registration revenue worksheet to the charts worksheet. So what we can do is we're going to go ahead and select this. Now there's two ways to do this. With this chart selected on the Chart Tools Design tab, you can click Move Chart, or I often just right click on the chart and click Move Chart. And we'll pull this up so you can see it. Now in the past, I believe we have put it in a new worksheet, but this one is asking us to place it in a worksheet that is already there. So we're just going to put charts. We'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed. And task 4 is also a little bit tricky, because when you go to this sheet, it's asking us to apply alternate text to our pie chart. Well, there's two pie charts on this, and the one that we placed is down here, and this is the one that it wants you to apply that alternate text to. So be careful, make sure you're carefully reading those questions. And so for this, I'm just going to right click on the chart and click Format Chart Area, and it's under the chart options and then the size and properties, alt text, and all it wants us to do is type in New Sports. We can close out of that and click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Multi-Project 3. Currently we're working on Project 2, Lunch Trucks. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and go to the Food Inventory worksheet, and it's asking us to remove all of the duplicate records. So we'll go ahead and we'll select our header on this table, and we'll select all the rows underneath. From here we need to go to the Data tab, and then we want to click underneath the Data Tools, Remove Duplicates. Now this brings up a screen, and because it doesn't tell us to change the criteria here, we're just going to leave everything checked, and we're going to click OK. And if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see that it did remove 4 records. So we'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to stay on the food inventory worksheet, and we're going to enter a function in G1 that counts the number of food items. So we want to count all of these food items. Now the formula that we need to use, even though it doesn't tell us, is called count A. So we'll type count A at the top, we'll hit go, and then we'll go ahead and select that from our list. Now we need to go ahead and select our range, which begins in A2 and all the way down to A53. We'll click OK. It tells us that there's 52 items. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go to the revenue worksheet, and it's asking us to go ahead and insert a formula into J10 that uses a function to calculate the average revenue for January. So in J10, we're going to go ahead and insert a function, and this function that we're going to use is average. We'll click OK. And what we want to do is select all of the numbers in January in that January column. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and it brings back our average. We'll click Mark Completed. And task 4 asks us to go ahead and stay on the revenue worksheet and select cells range C5 to C7, and it asks us to insert this PNG file called food truck. So we're going to go to the Insert tab here at the top. We're going to go to the Illustrations group, Pictures, and we're going to go to our Documents folder, GMetrix Templates, and Food Truck. But it needs us to do one other thing, and we're going to change the width to 1. And if you're just quickly reading through that step, you might change the height. So you want to make sure you change the width to 1. We'll hit Enter. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Multi-Project 3. Currently we're on Project 3 called Grain Production. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and remove all hidden properties and personal information from this workbook. So we want to click File to enter the Backstage view. And from here we want to click the Check for Issues Inspect Document. And we can leave everything checked, but the one that we want to make sure is checked is called Document Properties and Personal Information, and it tells us that it inspects for hidden metadata or personal information saved with the document. So we'll go ahead and click Inspect, and once we do that, it says that it did find some data in here. We want to click Remove All, and then we can click Close and exit out of the Backstage view. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and in the Grain Production worksheet apply the title style to cell 1. So cell A1. So we'll go ahead and we'll click that. We see it's a merged cell. And from here we want to go, we're on the Home tab, we want to go to the Styles group, Cell Styles, and then from here we just want to apply this title. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to stay on this worksheet, it's the only one, and we're going to modify the table style to remove the shading that appears on every other row. And so we want to click in this table, and we'll click the Table Tools Design tab because we're in that table. And what we want to do is just uncheck the banded rows and notice that that formatting disappears. We can click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and sort this table by country alphabetically from A to Z. So currently it's in Z to A. So what we want to do is we're going to select our heading, country product and metric tons, and we want to select all of the data in that table. Because when we go, if you just select that one column, it's going to ask you, would you like to extend this data? So we'll go ahead and click Data, we'll click Sort, and country is already out in this populated. And notice it says Z to A. We just want to switch it A to Z, and we'll click OK. Click Mark Completed. And Task 5 asks us to go ahead and insert a formula in the cell E4 that calculates the total production of only barley. And so we'll go ahead and in E4, we're going to go ahead and insert a function. Now the function that we need to use is called sum if. We'll click that. Our range is going to be our product, so we'll go ahead and select that entire range. And our criteria is we only want you to look for barley. And if you see barley, we want you to add it up. So that's our sum range, is this second column, the metric tons. So what we did, just to summarize this, is we've told Excel to the function here to look at the product column and only look for the word barley. If you see barley, we want you to add up that production. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and that's only barley's production. We'll click Mark Completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Multi-Project 3. Currently we're on Project 4, which is called Music Store. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and configure the target column, the target sales column on the sales commissions worksheet so that the data still exists but is not visible. What it wants us to do is to hide this column. So I'm going to go ahead and left click the B column here, and then I'm going to right click here, and then from here I click hide, and that data is still there, it's just not visible. If you look between these columns, you see it's a little bit raised here, letting you know that there is data there that's just being hidden. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and modify the scaling of the sales commission worksheet so it fits on one page when printed. So we're going to go ahead and click File, Print, and of course we don't print in Mr. Sinclair's class, so please do not hit that button. And we're going to scroll all the way down here, and what we want is this no scaling. We're going to click this, and we're going to click Fit Sheet on one page, and then we can exit this Backstage view. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go ahead and remove the cell containing the data project sales. So if you scroll down, it's this cell right here. and the projected sales here, we're just going to actually right click and we'll click delete, and we can delete left. That's fine. We'll click OK. We'll click mark completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and apply a conditional formatting, the orange gradient fill data bars to the total sales. So we'll go ahead and select that range. This is the total sales data. And we're going to go to conditional formatting. It told us it was data bars. It's a gradient fill, and it told us orange. If you're not sure, hover. We'll click mark completed. And task 5 asks us to go ahead and insert a formula in G4 that calculates the bonus rate, and then copy that formula all the way down. It should copy it down for us once we put that first formula in, just because it's a table. But what we need to do is we need to start the formula by going equals. We'll go ahead and select F4. We're going to do multiply, which is Shift 8. And then we're going to select J3 over here. But you're not done. It also wants you to put a $sign in front of the 3, making it an absolute reference. There we go. We'll click OK. What that $sign does is if I was to drag this down, which I did, this J3 does not change. Because I only put the $sign in front of the 3, if I went this way, the formula is messed up because it's now looking to K3, and obviously there's no data there. So go ahead and delete that out. Click mark completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Multi-Project 3. We're on Project 5 called Farm Market. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and get onto the summaries worksheet, which we're already on. We're going to change the top, bottom, left, and right margin, as well as the header and footer. So we're going to go ahead and click the Page Layout tab. We're going to click the Margins drop down, and we want to click Custom Margins. Now, the top and the bottom are already set at 0.75, and what we need to do is to key in 0.75 for the left and right. The up and down button next to that will not take you to where you need to. So we've gone ahead and changed the left and the right. We're going to go ahead and change the header to 0.5 and the footer to 0.5. And then finally, if you're quickly reading through this step, you'll miss this. It says center the worksheet horizontally within the margin. So we're going to go ahead and click that, and we'll click OK. We'll click mark completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and hide the rental revenue worksheet. So we'll go ahead and select that worksheet right now. And we're going to right click on it and click hide. That worksheet's still in the workbook, but you just can't see it. We'll click mark completed. Task 3 asks us to go to the summary worksheet. And what we're going to do is save this as a PDF. So we're going to click File, Export. We're going to click Create PDF XPS Document. We'll click that again. We want to make sure that the file type is PDF. It might default to XPS document. And you probably want to uncheck the open file after publishing, because it will open it up and you don't need it open. And then what we need to do is type in the file name summary, and we'll click publish. If you've already done the step, it'll ask you this. Go ahead and click yes. We'll click mark completed. Task 4 asks us to go stay on this summaries worksheet, put our cursor anywhere in this table, and what it wants us to do is outline both the column and the rows. So with that, with our cursor on the table, we're going to go ahead and click the data tab, and okay, I got it. We're going to click group, and then we're going to select auto group. We'll click mark completed. And task 5 is a tricky step if you're not sure. We're going to go ahead and work it through though. We need to be on the farmers market worksheet, and what we want to do is select our headers, all of these headers at the top, and all of the data underneath. You want to make sure again that you select row 2 because that's your headers. We're on the data tab, and we're going to click sort. Now this is a multi-level sort, and so there's multiple sorts going on at the same time. The first one is that it wants us to sort by location, so we'll go ahead and select that, and it tells us from A to Z, so we can leave the order there. We'll click add level. The second one is for the product, so we'll go ahead and click that too. It doesn't give us any specifics, so we'll leave that A to Z, and then we're going to click add a third level, and it's going to be the season. Now, this is the tricky part of the sort. It does tell us spring, summer, fall is how it wants it sorted. So if you click that drop down, you're going to click custom list. And what we're going to do is type in spring, summer, fall. Notice I capitalized those words. We'll click add. We'll click OK. And notice that I went back in because it said A to Z. I went, you can also select it from here. Actually, it's this one. My apologies. And make sure it says spring, summer, fall. So then when you click OK, it sorts by those levels. We'll click mark completed. We are working on GMetrix Excel Multi-Project 3. Currently, we're on Project 6 called Club Fundraiser. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and in the fundraiser worksheet, delete row 4 from the first table only. So with our cursor here, we can right-click, click delete, and then click rows. And notice that that row disappears only from that table. We'll click mark completed. Task 2 asks us to go to the cookie sales worksheet, and we're going to just display all of the formulas. So we're going to go to the formulas tab here at the top. We're going to click show formulas, and we've noticed that that data changed. We'll click mark completed. Tells us to go ahead and configure the fundraiser worksheet to display rows 1 through 3 on every page that is printed. So we're going to go to the page layout tab here at the top. We're going to open up the page setup dialog box. We'll click the sheet tab here at the top, and we're on rows to repeat at top. We'll click this right here, and we'll go ahead and select rows 1 through 3. Drop that box back down, click OK. We'll click mark completed. And task 4 asks us to go ahead and go back to the cookie sales worksheet, and we're going to select A2 to B2. And it has us doing 3 things, and if you are just quickly reading this, you'll miss the bold format here at the end. So the first thing is we need to apply a fill, so we're going to go to our home tab, the fill bucket. It says orange accent 2. It tells us that our font's going to be the white background 1. If you're not sure, hover and then apply the bold. So you can do Control B or just type that right there. We'll click mark completed. And task 5 asks us to go ahead and go back to the fundraiser worksheet. Now this can be confusing because it tells you that you're only going to display the Blazing Bronx Club here in this table, but it's color formatted here on the left, and the key is over here. We know that this blue right here represents people on the Blazing Bronx. So what we want to do here is you can click either of these two. We're going to filter by color, and we know that this color right here represents them. Notice it only displays that color. We'll click mark completed. We are working on Excel, GMetrix, Multi-Project 3. We're currently on Project 7 called Forest Nursery. Task 1 asks us to go ahead and change the tab of Q1 sales to green. So with this in the chart, we're going to go ahead and right-click that tab. We're going to go to Tab Color, and it's a standard color. So we'll select green. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 2 asks us to go ahead and rename Sheet 2. So what we're going to do is double-click this sheet until you see the text highlighted, and we're going to go ahead and capitalize suppliers and type in that word with the S. We'll go ahead and hit Enter. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 3 asks us to go ahead and go back to the Q1 sales. And what we're going to do is insert a header. Specifically, it tells us page 1 of question mark. So that is key. We'll go ahead and click the Insert tab. Go to the header and footer. And it's actually not going to be this section right here. You're going to click Header, the header drop down, and click page 1 of question mark. And it'll go ahead and put that in for us. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and go back, or we're still on Q1 sales. We're going to copy from A8 to E13. So we'll go ahead and hit Control C, or if you want to hit copy up here. And it's going to have us paste this in the seedlings sales worksheet. And it tells us we're pasting it beginning at A8. But the key word here is transpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor in A8. I'm going to right click here. And if you look here, you have paste options. And what we want to do is transpose. If you're not sure, hover. That way you select the correct pasting option. We'll go ahead and click Mark Completed. Task 5 asks us to go ahead and go to the small tree sales sheet. And what we're going to do is remove the table formatting from here. So with this table selected, we have Table Tools Design. And what we want to do is in the tool section, click Convert to Range. We'll click Mark Completed. Task 4 asks us to go ahead and go to the, we're still on this worksheet, but what we're going to do is insert a function, and it doesn't tell us which one, but it tells us that it wants the smallest value. That is the min function. So we'll type min, click go, and we'll double click here. And careful on your range. It needs to be F9 to F18, and we'll click OK. We'll click Mark Completed, and notice that right here the formula brought the smallest value recorded, which is the last one. And task 4 asks us to go to the Q1 sales, and if you still have this text selected, go ahead and hit the escape key to remove the copy part. And it's telling us that we want to select this group of trees and their months. So what we'll do is we'll select from A8 all the way to E11, and with that text selected, or those cells, we have the quick analysis right here, and we're going to click that. We'll click charts, and we're going to click the first clustered group. Alright, now there's a bunch of things that it wants us to do to this chart before we click the Mark Completed button. So the first thing is that we want to do is apply the style 14. So here in the chart styles, we'll click the drop down box, we'll click style 14. The next thing it wants us to do is to select the monochromatic palette 7. So we're going to go ahead and click change colors, and right now we're in the chart tools design tab, and it's this, if you're not sure, hover. And then the next thing it wants us to do is apply a quick layout. So in the chart layouts, and we'll hover, this is 2. And then finally it wants us to place this in a different worksheet. So with that selected, we'll right click on it, we'll click move chart. We can also select that here on the design tab. It tells us that it needs to go into the seedling sales chart worksheet, and we'll click OK. Now it tells us that it wants us in the upper left hand corner, so let's go ahead and click and drag that over. We'll click Mark Completed.